morning, everyone, and welcome to this webinar. Today, we're excited to have you with us as we also give you a first look at our brand new, modern, cloud-based product release, Nimbus Payroll. So for those of you who don't know me, I am Michelle van Dijk, and I am part of the sales and marketing team here at Nimbus. With me today, we also have Lucy Wu, who is our payroll specialist. She will also be leading the webinar. Also Karen Broderick, who many of you know, and she will be answering some of the questions related specifically to your Nimbus workflows. So just a quick reminder, please feel free to drop your questions into the chat as they come up and we will address them as we go through the session. We will also be attending some of the questions at the end of the webinar. So, session objectives. So today's objective is obviously to give you a taste of Nimbus Payroll and how it will help your organization manage pay, report labor costs with real-time accuracy and complete control, all while staying fully compliant to New Zealand legislation and within your Nimbus system. So today's agenda, we'll be talking about, just give you a bit of background, why this payroll is different. Karen will also be talking a little bit more about how payroll fits into your Nimbus workflow. And then Lucy will dive into the live demonstration. And as I mentioned, please feel free to ask your questions as we go, and we'll try to address as many as possible. All right, so why Nimbus Payroll? So Nimbus Payroll is not just another generic payroll system. When we built it, we focused specifically on the needs of New Zealand construction and contracting businesses. And the goal was to solve some of the common pain points that we know the industry is facing by bringing timesheets, job costing, labor management, and payroll all together, all in one place, to give you a single source of truth, all in real time. So Nimbus Payroll is also part of the wider JDM Technology Group and is already trusted and used by many companies, both here in New Zealand and around the world. So just as a side note, Payroll is also part of our new simplified, fully cloud-based ERP system, Convero. And some of you may already be familiar with it, but for those of you who aren't, we'll be hosting a Convero webinar soon and to give you a full overview. So watch this space for the invites to come out soon. So now I'll be handing over to Karen, who will be talking about how payroll fits into your Nimbus workflow. Thanks, Karen.
Thank you, Michelle. Okay, so I'm aware that many of you attending today may already be creating an export file out of your Nimbus database to import into your current payroll system. Some of you may not. For those who are already doing an export out of Nimbus, what I'm going to explain will sound very familiar to you, and there actually is little change as far as the Nimbus workflow. So the first point is that with the payroll system being a cloud-based system, there will be no requirement for a specific employee or employee's machine to have the payroll program installed. Now, that actually frees the payroll up from relying on one specific user. It does open it up and take pressure off that one person should they need to take annual leave and be away from the company. So that is an important distinctive with moving to this payroll system. The basic technical requirements underneath remain the same. There needs to be data links applied, so your employee record will need to have a code that's recognised by the payroll system. And the time codes that you use now for recording your employees' time, they will need to be linked to a pay code within the payroll system. That for some of you who are now already exporting, they may need to be changed because different payroll systems have different ways of recognizing the types of time. And that would be part of your project to move to the new payroll system. The Nimbus workflow is that basically all job costing is completed within the Nimbus system. Now, there may be various methods by which your timesheets are put into Nimbus. They may be manually put in via job posting from a paper timesheet, or you may be using some sort of timesheet system where the information regarding how a person has spent their time is recorded on a device and then comes into the Nimbus system. But either way, what we end up with is job costing. And the key routine in Nimbus is that all job costing for the current payroll that you're about to export needs to be completed. And you will have a web report within Nimbus that you will use to do your checking. We can work with you individually to make sure that those reports show you all of the information that you need to see to know that all of the data is in Nimbus and ready to go. Once those data checks have been done, then there will be a link to click to create the upload file for the payroll system. Now, this possibly will be smoother for those of you who are having to then go to the separate payroll app to run that. This will be smoother. It will be a link off that web report. As the file is collated and ready for payroll, each transaction is stamped with a payroll date, as happens now for those exports. And that means that ensures that you cannot include a transaction in a subsequent payroll file. So that's one of the security things within the Nimbus system. Now, one of the things that we are looking at, and this is a technical area that is up for discussion for us internally, and we're looking into, is whether or not in the future we can automate that file upload. So the thinking is that perhaps there would be a way to schedule your payroll upsync. Let's say, for example, every second Tuesday at 11 a.m., that the file will just automatically generate. And that is a possible, we are looking at that. However, even if that was the case, the workflow check and the making sure that the data is correct before that appointed time will still be a very important part of your workflow. So we are always looking to the future and the way that we can enhance this product, and that is one area that we are investigating now. So that really covers what I need to talk about, and I will hand back to you, Michelle.
Great, thank you, Karen. So far, no questions. So without any further ado, I'll hand over to Lucy, who will be doing a live demonstration. Thanks, Lucy.
Thank you, Michelle. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to run you through the payroll as if we are doing our payroll processing today. So coming into payroll, you will land on the landing page with some dashboards. These dashboards are dependent on what you would like. So what you see are just some examples. The great thing about this cloud-based system is all very configurable, so we can move things around, we can reshape things, we can delete things, or we can add an extra tile. And over at the employee side, we make sure all your codes are consistent. Any standard allowances or deductions that you would have for your employee, we would preload that in. So if you have something like a tool allowance, you do not have to enter it each and every time that you come to do payroll. All right, so if you have more than one company that you need to do payroll for, you will just switch between the legal entities out here. If you've got more than one division or one payroll group, you would change it as you need to over here. Generally, it will default to one, and then if you need to work on another one, you would just change it by selecting the correct group. So we'll go with this group today. I've preloaded in some data, so the data that we take, the dates, the codes as we mentioned, job, resource code, operation, etc. When you come to do your payroll, and if you decide, actually, I don't need to see any of that, then we could build this view to how you would like it. So it can just really filter down to show the hours if you wish. A very important thing about payroll is making sure the holidays X calculation are correct. So just to show you what that looks like, I'll make this a bit larger. With annual leave, it needs to be the higher of 4 weeks versus 52 weeks if they don't have a set paid amount every week. And as you could see, it would show you like so. And we just say 5th. And it will default here. For something like a sick leave, it would default to the sick leave calculation accordingly. So you can reassure that all the holidays X calculation are as needed be, and you've got information about how it's calculated it. Okay, once you have all your data in, we would go and calculate this. Calculate. Okay. And then on this side is a little summary screen that you could either choose to download, or again, as we've mentioned, everything is configured to how you would like it. So if you decide, Lucy, I want some different headings up here, I could work with you on that. Or if you say, actually, I don't really need to see things like child support or student loan because none of my employees have that, then we could make it to how you need it. So if you take nothing away from the payroll seminar today, you can take away that we could make this to how it works best for you. Payroll status is a checking point just to check that you have entered all the data for your employee as you needed to. And if you say, oh, actually, this is all correct, you can tick off individually, or you could approve all. To say, yes, I've checked it, my payroll looks all good. Okay, so view and send payslips. We have your company logo with your company address, and then it would set out each item, and at the bottom will just give you a total of their annual leave balance. We've purposely chosen not to display the sick leave balance upon feedback from clients who said, actually, we prefer that to just not be on the employee's payslip. And if you email it out, you would click the email out button. What that would do is that your employees will get a template email saying, payslip from this company. If you have any questions, contact this person. All email payslips are password protected, so you would need to set up with your employees at the setup phase what kind of password they like. They would need that password to open their payslips. Create Payroll EFT is the ability to create a file to upload to your bank. If we're saying that we are paying this today, just setting this to my correct accounting period for my run of pay number 22. And let's just say I'm paying this out of my Lucy bank account. Post. Yes. Okay. And it will split out who it's paying, to which I would download this file. And this is an older file, but it would download your file that you could upload to your online banking, and then you can pay it out of there. For your payday filing, you would generate the file in the system. Create. It would generate you this file, which you can upload to your MyIR. So it is under development that we will have this auto link to the IRD. So we hope to see that soon. At the moment, all our current clients are doing a manual download of the payday file and then upload into their MyIR. So by this point, I've entered all my time, I've checked my payroll summary, I've double checked it in my payroll status to make sure nobody is missing. I've emailed out all the payslips, I've uploaded it to my online banking, I've done my payday filing, and then you could say to the system, I am all done with this pay period, please roll me forward to my next one, pay period 23, and then you would select save, and then that would be all your tasks completed. If you are wanting to file everything back to the accounting side, we could configure you a GL report that you could file to the accounting side if you wish. Otherwise, if you've got another payroll you need to do, you simply come right back up to the top, choose a different payroll, and then off you go again. Okay. Seems like we don't have any questions at this point, so opening to the floor and handing back to you, Michelle.
Thanks, Lucy. So are you able to just talk through the onboarding process, Lucy, as what do you need to get this, going?
Okay, so in the onboarding process, I need the employee details. So that's all your basic details, such as the employee code, the names, IRD number, IRD tax code, and their KiwiSaver contributions, the ESCT rate, and the bank account. So the basic employee details, and I need the past 52 weeks historic data or 52 weeks equivalent. So if you're doing a fortnightly run, that will be the past 26 fortnight worth of historic data saying how much this employee was paid, and for each pay period, how many days they were paid for. Generally, that's pretty straightforward, and you could export that out of the payroll system. The reason we need this historic data is to make sure any leave calculations, such as the annual leave, the sick leave, etc., are calculated correctly going forward. I do also ask for a most recent copy of their payslips. This is just to make sure that any standard items, as I mentioned, of the deduction, the allowances, none of that gets missed. So I could run a parallel run in the system just to make sure the payslips match before we launch into the actual go live.
Perfect, thank you. Can you also just talk a little bit more about how employees can view their pay slips?
At this stage, it is simply whatever they view their email in. So they can view their emails in their mobile, or they can view their emails on a computer. So they would have an email payslip to their email address. It would say payslip from this company. If you have questions, ask this person. And it's an attachment, a PDF attachment. When they click into it, a pop-up box will come up asking for the password. That's when they need to type in their password, and then they could see their payslip.
Great stuff. All right, we have another question here. So just the 52-week earning report, and you can calculate and validate all leave balances?
Yes, that is a very good point. So I do ask for the leave balances at cutover. What kind of leave balances is the employee bringing into Nimbus Payroll? So yes, leave balance report is another report I do need. Thank you.
Great. Is Nimbus Payroll open to integrate with another HRIS system?
That I believe we need to do some scoping around. So I think that is a offline conversation that we would need to have.
Yep, perfect. I have another question here. How is annual leave recorded in the Nimbus Payroll, please? Days or hours?
It is in days.
All right. Well, that was short and sweet. I thought I'll just also remind everyone that I do always post these webinars on our website as well as our YouTube channel, so that you can also share it with your colleagues or re-watch it again. If you have any ideas on webinar topics, please get in touch with me. It's always good to hear from you as to what topics you would like us to cover next. Thank you very much, Lucy and Karen, for presenting, and for everyone else who joined in today.